So I'm Virginia Gryta. I teach in our special ed department in mostly our learning disabilities courses. And one of the courses that I teach, I thought would be appropriate to share with you all today because it's the Ed Tech course. And so there's lots of tools and apps and things that we use in that course. It also runs synchronously and asynchronously. So there are some differences. Obviously, I will do more like video recording narration. I love Kristen's tool that she shared. I'm going to be stealing that too, because I am suffering with the having to redo the whole thing sometimes, although I've gotten better at it. So I'm going to bring you into SPED 705. This is our infotech course, just to give you an overview of the kinds of things that we look at. I think easier to just go through. First, we have students compare digital and traditional classrooms so they can kind of get into the space. We also, because it's a special ed teacher training course, we have students using tools as students and then reflecting on the use of those tools as teachers. So there's multiple hats that they wear and trade around. And we get meta, as Julie was saying, in our experiences as students. We then share back, how would you use this in a classroom? What might some drawbacks be? Okay, so all kinds of things that we have students doing, like we have them associate, what do you think about technology? And they go in and vote, and it makes a big word cloud using Mentimeter. That's one thing I'll share. That's like a very quick tool that you can embed into slides or anything that you're doing with your course that then gets like almost like a hive mind, real quick snapshot of what people are thinking. And they can add, several words or just one, and it populates. So that's in there to get them warmed up. We go into digital citizenship, cyberbullying, and all that lives in there. So there's some tools for that we share, videos and activities they can bring right into their classroom. They make infographics. They have to make an infographic about infographics, actually, to help communicate what they know. We have them talking about sharing information. They do some coding, some graphic organizers. We do a unit on or a lesson on storytelling and publishing. So book creators in there, Liz. I was glad to see that. We talk about assistive and adaptive technology. And then we have them exploring the New York Public Library and looking at all the different tools that are there. So now that you kind of have an overview of the directions we go in, I'm going to bring you in. Oh, I wanted to share this resource. So in our web tools and apps class, so I'm in the website. I'm going to scroll down to show you why I like it. So this website takes Bloom's taxonomy, right? So the different levels of, getting your students thinking, the verbs you can put into your objectives for your courses. And it has the apps sequenced by the different levels of Bloom's. I'll warn you that if you're sharing this with students, sometimes the links are, this is a lot of links because you can click right on something and go to that app and check it out. So sometimes they're not always up to date, but I love this. If I'm thinking, I really want my students to, it's just a remembering thing. I taught them some vocabulary words and I want them to go back and tell me about that language of the discipline. You can have them go in and, just use a listing tool to list that back for you. And this will point you to some apps that will be more useful than others. And then I'll take you into our digital storytelling too, because I think this is a nice one. There's lots of technology in this particular module. We walk them through, kids getting ready to publish. There's video embedded in the slides here. They can look at young kids and older kids because we do have childhood and adolescent students in this course. And then we list the different ways you can use digital storytelling. So for students to reflect on a class trip, then there's lots of different specific ways they could use it, and you can use it in your course as well. And then we look at different ways of storytelling. So we take them to the Storybird site and they get to put together, or they get to watch a demonstration of how you might interact with that site to make your story come alive. We show them a tool that's just a Google tool for photo scissors. This is my dog that I cut out of a photo that I can then embed so I could make my own story with pictures that are on my computer. Book creators here too, Liz. They learned book creator. Animoto just walks through. It's mostly like a scene of photos, so you can make a montage that way. And this works really nicely with something like Adobe Express that Kristen was showing us. I was looking right now because I'm thinking you could go back in and then narrate over these images, which would be really nice. I'll have to play with that. We use Storyboard That, which kind of looks like this, where you can pull different scenes in to create, you know, a background, a board of where your story is going to go. You could narrate over this. You could add text to this. Let me get back into my slides. And we use Pixton, and this is a nice like end of the course activity, because sometimes I'll have the students choose from those different technology platforms that we've shared and have them, you know, tell a story of a teacher who benefited their students in some way, you know, but I often have them make a cartoon using Pixton at the end of the semester about them, you know, as their own teacher in a classroom, and they do some scenario for me that they share with each other. So what I want to show you is the outcome of this. After they've learned these different tools, we go into a Padlet, back to Julie's favorite, and then they can share, you know, their projects that they've made, and almost like a gallery walk, look at each other. So I like Padlet a lot too, because you can upload video, you can upload, you know, a still image, photographs. This student made a book for her grandmother that reflected on their family times, you know, so you can just have all kinds of different things happen here. This is an Animoto that people did. So the choice lives here as well for, you know, not just selection of the technology that you meshed with the best to do the job of telling a story, but also if you played around with it, and, you know, they play around with each of these before they do this project. So they get to see how other people were successful with the tool that they may not have chosen. So I like it for that too. I think this is where we are. Let me just see what else. Oh, and then I was going to show, this is like a nutso jam board, but in the course, I have them do things like, let's say you want to get a snapshot of what everyone's thinking, right? Word cloud is good for just words, but if I want to know, I think this is an example of asking students what their why is, like why do you want to be a teacher? You know, why is technology important in the classroom? I forget what the why question was, but it was one of those. And then I had them first share to a slide. I think we were all on the same slides together. Nope. I didn't bring it up because it's just a slide, but I had them put a Post-it on a slide that we were all sharing and try that out. And then we did this jam board and I had them try it out too. Both of those experiences from a student perspective look and feel like taking a Post-it, typing on a Post-it and dragging it to the space. But what they had an opportunity to kind of compare within the same lesson. How did that feel? What would you use? What was good and bad about it? Did you like the experience of like watching people's ideas pop up? Did that help you have your own ideas? So they really get into this process of using the technology as well, not just the different pieces of tech that they use. So I thought that would be cool to share too.